Good morning. Much like Robert, my life was changed through relationships here. So I came here in the summer of '97 as an intern and haven't really left since, kind of a few times, but most of my growth as a human being has happened inside these walls and inside these relationships. So it's really beautiful to see significant faces here. I'm here to speak about Ken Smothers. Can you raise your hand if you in the room knew Ken Smothers? So just a few people. Ken first came to us. He came to Charlotte from out west. Had gone through a divorce. He's here in the bottom corner. Had gone through a divorce, had a complicated relationship with his kids, was struggling with chronic pain, significant back and neck pain, not able to get his disability income, so he had nothing. And if you'd ask him, he'd tell you that he came here to die. And that's what he did. He passed away of a heart attack at the CATS bus terminal. There's a defibrillator there at CATS today because of his death. But the time between he arrived and when he died, he discovered the art program. Edwin, and most significantly Lawrence Can, who helped found the art program here, and had a significant impact on many lives. He ended up, after he died, on the front page of the Charlotte Observer, which very few of our clients do. And Tommy Tomlinson wrote a column about him, and in this, he described his occupation. And he wrote, poet, gardener, woodcarver, singer, expert on Frank Zappa lyrics, student of the stars, speaker at college campuses and national conventions, new friend to 42 third graders, that was through our Trinity partnership, and homeless man. So those were all descriptions of Ken. He was indeed, he published while a neighbor here while experiencing homelessness, 2 books of poetry. He was always carving. He had a very significant impact on third graders at Trinity. I will remember him for the sparkle in his eye, which I think he did a really beautiful job on his eyes. And that sparkle was maybe like half kindness and warmth and like half mischievousness. Because Ken was like not a rule follower. So one of my like primary Ken memories is we went up to DC to a conference where he was involved in advocacy. We went to go meet with members of Congress, and he was great. But he also packed, not an alcoholic, but he just packed this like vodka to bring with him on the trip, right? And he was fine with it, but he shared it with some people with us, and they didn't have such a great response. And I stayed up most of the night in their hotel room with a student intern, just trying to keep from calling the police from a lot of like rambunctiousness that occurred out of that. And ever since then, I knew then to make a rule that you couldn't bring alcohol on any trips. But Ken said, well, I'm 21, why not? You know, you just like to challenge those things. Thinking, but he was a dear man. But if I speak to you honestly, when Heather asked me to talk about Ken, my primary emotion is regret. And not that Ken wasn't special and I was gifted to know him. We genuinely cared about Ken, and we would say like we loved Ken. But the distinction between Ken and the faces on the other side, there's a distinction of when we thought about housing first and when we implemented housing first. And as much as we loved Ken and had relationships with Ken, we never housed Ken. And so here was a man struggling with depression and significant pain who lived outside and in the woods. And he was engaged with us lots of ways, but he didn't get engaged with us in housing. So he died in 2005, so he died before this community rallied around this concept of housing first. And so I think about how special his years while in homelessness were, but I think how different could his life have been if he had had housing. So when he passed away, we had a memorial service for him here. And his family all came from out west, his kids and all sorts of relatives came. And they hadn't had the chance to realize kind of how special his life and his community was here. So they got that chance, but it was in his death. And I really believe had we had him, if he was in housing and had that opportunity, they would have had an opportunity to see that specialness while he was still alive, and he could have had a different relationship with his family. So I'm grateful to have known Ken, but more than anything, he is a siren for why we must continue to push for all human beings to have housing in this community. So thank you, Ken, for that reminder.